Hey guys, it's Savvy, and I am coming at you if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. It is day 16 of the Strike Back Videoathon challenge. I'm so sorry I missed yesterday. I just, completely spaced. Tomorrow I start my new job, and so, yesterday I was acting like I didn't get anything done in between the hours that I finished a book. So I got something done, but I decided not to do anything with my house or anything within the hours that I would be working, because I just really wanted to see how much time do I actually have, because I've never had an office job before. So um, I guess I just waited until the end of the day. I don't know. That's an excuse. I forgot to do this. But today I remembered. Today's prompt is really cool. It's auto by authors. I'm not going to do that today. I'm probably going to save that for later, because I do want to just gush about some people I love. But for today, I'm going to start with, and if you like this and you like that, these are some of my favorite videos to make, and I'm so glad I have one. So the first book is Love That Dog. This book, it's a short book told in prose and poetry, and it's about this boy. I think he's a third grader. I read it for the first time when I was in third grade. It's about a boy, and he's writing, he has to make journal entries to his teacher, and they're learning about poetry, and he's like, well, I can't do it. I'm a boy. Boys don't write poetry. And so she kind of gives him all these male poets, and she's like, hey, read his work. And it's just really amazing. And then throughout the book, he writes poems about his dog, and you get to meet his dog in the story. And as somebody who's grown up with dogs, and I think even if I had never had a pet dog, I just from birth was obsessed with pianos and dogs, and I'm still obsessed with them. And so I just really cannot recommend this enough. You can read it in one day. It's a really great thing to read, to let a third grader or even somebody a little bit younger read on their own. It's very simple language. There is some heartbreak in this. I'd say it starts really sweet and then it gets bitter. And I think, though, that it's told in such a way that it's believable a kid is saying it, and also kids can really understand it. I think sometimes, you shouldn't have your third grader watch Schindler's List. That's a lot of sadness. But something like this, it's very understanding, it's very easy to comprehend, and they've probably experienced it or will experience similar things in their life. If you liked this, then you should pick up The Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. It is such a good book. I felt like the writing style was somewhat similar. Obviously, this is a little more complex. It's not told through poetry, and it is for grown-ups, but it's really beautiful and poetic language sometimes. I loved this book. It's about Henry, a Chinese boy, first-generation American, and he, both his parents don't speak English, they only speak Chinese, and he gets a scholarship to a white prep school. And so they switch it so that he's not allowed to speak Cantonese in the house. And so they'll ask him things, and he'll have to answer them, and they won't understand what he's saying, even though he can. The sun is annoying. Even though he can understand what they're saying, they can't understand his English that he responds. And it's very, it's very good. And then he, for a scholarship, he works in the kitchen. And then another Asian girl starts working there. And she's Japanese. She's second generation. So she doesn't care that he's Chinese. But it takes place in the 40s. So there's actually, there's Henry as a boy in the 40s and then as a man in the 80s. And it's about, in the 40s, it talks a lot about his relationship with his father. In the 80s, it talks a lot about his relationship with his son. And I thought that was really well done and really interesting. I hope you can't hear the dryer. Sorry if you can. I didn't even think about that. But Keiko, her family doesn't care that he's Chinese, because they're, her parents are first generation, she's second generation, they're American through and through. And Henry's family, he can't tell them that he's friends with a Japanese girl, because at this time, if you know anything about the kind of Asian history in that time, Japan was taking over. Japan was messed up, and it happened before all the shit hit the fan with Germany, I'd say. And it was messed up. And so his dad's really obsessed with like helping the war effort in China and sending money so that Japan doesn't win, and so he can't have a Japanese friend, and her family doesn't care, and so it's kind of about them being friends. And anyways, and then it is the 40s, and so she does get sent to an internment camp, and that's a big part of the story as well. And it's really, I thought it was really respectful, and it did a good job of showing like it was a horrible situation and it was crappy, but they did their best and tried to make it as homey as possible, and I really liked that, and I felt like it was really, really respectful about, and a lot of the characters. Some of the characters were very happy that the Japanese got sent away, and some of them were very upset, and I just thought it was like a really good, like, some people were for it, and I just thought that was really good. And I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, bullying. This book is kind of hard to read because Henry is 11 when it starts and I think 13 when it ends. And he gets bullied really, really badly because he is Asian. There's no other reason. And I found that really hard to read, because it's hard. I feel like when I was a kid, it wasn't as hard to read about people getting bullied. It was like, wow, that's so messed up. But I see it happening. It was a little bit more, when you're that age, you don't realize how young they are. As an adult, reading about an 11-year-old getting called these mean names and getting beat up because he's not white, and that was really, really hard. And then he has this I am Chinese button, obviously so that people don't think that he's Japanese. And they're like, we don't care, like, we want you to go back to your country, like, we hate you, even though you're not Japanese. And it's just very weird. And even at one point he's like, I'm your ally, guys, like, China's the ally with America. And they're like, yeah, well, whatever. And that it was very important, and I think it's an important thing to remember, and I know it still happens today, but it was hard to read. But it was very, very necessary to the story. There are some really wonderful side characters that I absolutely loved, and there's some really good character development in there. Another thing that I loved, one of the reasons, like, I did find this a very hard story. So I like that it's called The Corner of Bitter and Sweet, because this book, Sweet to Bitter, this book, Bitter to Sweet, it starts out very difficult. The first chapter, you meet Henry as an adult, and it's talking about how his wife died. He has a strained relationship with his son, and I have some experience with that, and it really just reminded me of my dad, especially like right after my mom died. And so it was really good and really well done, but it was a little bit difficult to read just because it did invoke some emotions in me. I didn't find it too emotional, though. I thought it did a really good job of being like, well, this is terrible, but we're just gonna keep going. Just try it. So I really, really liked that. And I just think these books are similar because they're both short, fairly easy reads, and they just really have so much emotion involved, and happiness, sorrow, but they're bittersweet. It's in the title, it works. And I really, really love them. I'd say if you've read this before, you would like this. If you read this before and liked it, you'll like this. I think that's all I have to say. I would recommend both of them. I really like both of them. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, year. Bye! Oh, and then I have to stop it.